Hello and welcome to the Training and Getting Started tutorial on the latest version of mySalesDrive. The walkthrough will be led by Irina Perkins, who is the Product Manager at Perform IT.
This is your initial login page. Please enter your login information, your email address and your password here and log into the online application by clicking on Enter or on the Login button. You see this offline button. This is our Workplace Audit, which is going to be the replacement for Capture IT. We will come back to this later on after we worked on our initial project, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our offline version. So let's log in. Please keep in mind that the first login might actually take some time since you're downloading the database for the offline application. But after that, you should be logged in within a few seconds. So let's take a look at the new features. Since this new client is more user-friendly, you can actually navigate the menu by opening it and closing it right here. So to minimize it, to give you the maximum room while working on a mobile device. You have a navigation menu up here, which you can switch for between floors and buildings and locations up here. And you have also your login and log off information right here. You can change your password here. You can change your active profile if you should happen to have more than just one profile to work with. You can also log out here. You can change the language by clicking on the little language flag and select the language you prefer to work with. By clicking on the question mark, you can access our user guide as well as check your connection, update your device database, which is important for the offline application, as well as look up the current version of the application you are working with. Let's move on to the application settings, which you can find located right next to the question mark. Quick look at them. We always recommend to check the application settings before starting working with the program. Please make sure that depreciation periods are according to the standards of your own country. Check in the comment field that the correct currency is in place as well as the exchange rate. I also recommend to check the prices for the kilowatt hour as well as the environmental factors. And please check out the paper usage tab and adjust the price for paper package within your country. After you made your changes, please save them and continue to work. Let's check out the customer workspace. As you can see, this workspace looks similar to what you have become accustomed to. On the left side, you have a list of your companies as well as your projects, and on the right side, you do have forms to fill out. The project that is selected is always green, and you can also see it in the navigation menu to make sure that you're working in the correct space. There's a little menu on top of the list where you can create companies and projects as well as delete them. You can make copies of your projects and you can transform them, and you can also share them with your coworkers. And this is a new button due to our new offline application. You can actually see the status of your project by looking in this particular column. So my project is currently in the cloud. If I want to work with it offline, I would have to download it, but we will come to this point later on after we finished working with our project. We will upload it into the offline application and take a look at the offline application. So as you can see, all the steps are available. You can create, as you used to, a project and then enter all your information. I always recommend to change the date of replacement so you can use it better later on than during your statistics. As well as you can create a different address for your project. If your project does not have the same address as your company, you can enter your sales information and update your prices within the project. Let's click back to the project. Which is really important here is the status. I always recommend to change that one as well, which is also important for statistics. In the company form, you find the same information that you find in the address of the project, but this is all company specific, so please fill out as much information as you can to create better reports later on. Now let's take a look at the project by opening up the project workspace first and then selecting settings. Your project settings are exactly the same as your application settings, with the difference that all changes that you make here only apply to the specific project you're currently working on. I always recommend to make your changes before you start working on your project, because many changes cannot be applied after you already added to your assets. So take a closer look that everything is set is exactly as you need them to be, and move on to structure. I've already created a structure for this specific project. I'm just going to add another floor to the structure so you can see how you can upload your floor plans here. I can rename, of course, my locations as well as my building and my floor, and I can also add a location, a building, and a floor to this existing project and create my structure as I need to. So let's add a floor by clicking on Add a Floor. Select a file. You can also drag and drop a file here, and if you're working on a mobile device, you can have access to a camera. Just take a picture and upload it here. Let's select the file, upload a floor plan, and click on OK. So you can see my floor plan is already uploaded. I can choose to remove it right here if I want to upload a different one. So let's move on to the floor plan. Starting to work on your floor plan, always recommend to scale the floor plan so you have a life-size application of your assets. Always choose a difference between doorways, since that's a distance well known to people. So click right and select scale, place 2 dots between the doorways, enter your distance and click on OK to scale your floor plan. Let us switch to the floor plan that I've already prepared for this demonstration. As you can see, I already placed my paper assets and my IT assets on the floor plan, created areas, and added what we call our new COVID-19 feature with hand sanitizers and warning signs, which you can all add by selecting Add Items, select the type of item you want. Let's say I'm putting in a stop sign and clicking on OK. Can also, of course, modify the text within the item by, let's do it right, edit item, and let's call it warning. There we go. We can also add an area to your floor plan by clicking on the right, select Add Area, mark out your area. Always make sure that the last dot connects. You can see it by it getting bigger as soon as you hit it. And then you can name your area. Select the color for the area. And click on OK and save it. OK. You can also add a department and a cost center to this area by using the drop-down menu here. And click on OK. So you can see, I can actually already see the square meterage of a specific area that I marked out. This is only possible if you scale your floor plan ahead of time, which is part of the COVID-19 feature. We have a ruler function to measure out distance between certain places, which is going to make your adapting to a COVID-19 adapted workplace more easier, so you don't have to take the measuring tape and walk around the customer workspace. You can do it all from the comfort of your office. If you're done measuring out distances, you can discard it by clicking on Close. We will return to this specific workspace as soon as we start our optimization, since it's done in the same workspace, and I will explain more to you, but we will take a look at the customized features, which you can find on the bottom right corner. I'm just going to open them up. As you can see, I can change colors for optimization errors as well as the logged errors, and I can resize all my icons as well as the labels in here. After you're done doing your changes, you can decide to reset to the standardized settings, or you can confirm your changes with OK. So let's move on to the current assets by clicking on Current and selecting Assets. As you can see, your current workspace is basically the same as you used to. You have a list of your assets on the left side as well as forms to fill out with information on the left side. We have added 3 new tabs which are part of BizIT already. We will look at them real closely in a little time after I explain the paper in an output workspace. We have IT Office, software and services, but let's start with paper in an output. You can add devices from the database as well as from your portfolio by clicking on the plus button. You can start an import of assets by selecting import assets. But you already know how that all works, so I'm not gonna go into deeper. Let's take a look at an asset assignment, but before that, I'm gonna show you real quick how to copy a specific asset. I'm just gonna select it and click on copy. Select the number of devices I want to add and click on OK. Now I have copied all my assets, which is a new feature. When I mark them all out, I can select equipment and add equipment to all my assets. So you can see I only have to select it once. Just please note that drag and drop function is not available anymore. You can either use the arrow or select a specific equipment you want to add and press the plus button here. Now we have added these 2 equipments to all my marked out assets. If I want to delete it from a specific asset, I just click on the trash can and confirm the dialog. When I'm done with adding my equipment, I just close the specific dialog. Let's move on to IT Office. I've already added a few IT items from a customer side, but I received a CSV file to add a few new ones. So let's start with a CSV import right here. Select CSV import, select your file, click on open. Make sure that all your cell format and cell file format are correct. Make sure your allocation is correct. I already created a profile for this specific import, so I don't have to allocate, but the allocation works the same as it used to by opening it up, open the drop-down menu, but you can also use the search category here by typing in the first few letters of the word you're looking for, select a specific category and click on OK. And our import is already completed. As you can see, the system automatically assigned a specific icon to this device. If the icon is not correct because the category is wrongly imported or you did not have a category to import, you can always choose to assign a category manually by clicking on category, opening the drop-down menu and select a specific device type. You also have a product part here which you can add your device prices to and the accessories, and a maintenance part which is really important if you want to create effort costs. Let's take a quick look at the labor. You have the option to enter, for example, the average administration case, the duration of which is an hour for me, and how many times a year I have to administrate this device. Let's say it's free, and I save my changes. For this to work properly, we're gonna have to return to the settings and take a real quick look at the settings. You have the tab that's called Scope here. Within this tab, you can enter work-related information as the prices for labor and the working days a year. So you can actually calculate effort costs later on. So please make sure that you fill out the specific information for this project within the project settings. If you want to work with average information, you would add it to the application settings up here. Let's return to our asset workspace. You can always add an IT item by clicking the plus. Please be aware that we do not have a database for IT items just yet, so you would have to create your own model or use your own product portfolio to create a new device. The same goes for software as well as services. Here also you have a possibility to add services by clicking the plus button and add a specific category to the item. Let's check out the categories that are available to you by selecting already an existing item and open the category items menu. You can take your picks by inventory auditing, relocation, disposal, and all kinds of other things, as well as just others, which is not important here since we do not carry symbols for software since they cannot be placed on the floor map. Let's take a closer look into software. You can see already added some software. I have Office and Windows. You can add all kinds of other things by selecting category and choose what kind of software you are adding to your project. The basic functionalities in here are the same. I can create a new device by clicking on plus as well as do a CSV import. I can all add my information, including labor costs and structure, condition, and dates to this workspace. I have also wanted to show you the advanced mode, so let us switch to paper in and output, select an asset, open the list view and select advanced mode. Now I can open this asset and see all the sales information that I was able to see in the sales tab that was located on my right side in the old application. As you can see, I have my real volumes, my TCO data, my TCO overview, my TCO product part, as well as my maintenance part and my green IT and process. So to exit this view, you just kind of click on here and it closes up again. Now let's move on to the contracts. As you can see, I have already created a few contracts, but let's make a new one so you can see how it's done. Let's click on the plus button, name your contract, choose the type of contract you want to create, or let's do a leasing. Select the starting point, and change the time of duration. Confirm with OK. After you confirm, a dialog opens in which you can select the specific assets you want to add to the contract. Say, I want to add this paper device and this IT device. As well as you can see here, my software is already assigned to a contract, as seen by this column, assigned to contract software. But this one is not in a contract yet, so I'm going to add it and click on OK. Now you can add a leasing charge to the contract and confirm with Save. So you can see all your previous options are still available if you're calculating paper output contracts, real volume, fixed volume, paper page, and overage and charge. So you can add all your information and save. As to what's really different now is how to assign or reassign a specific asset to a contract. I'm just going to show you real quick how it's done. Select your contract, click on Assign, This dialog opens up again. So you can see, as I already explained prior, you can see if an item is assigned to a specific contract in this column. If I want to remove it from this contract, I just uncheck it. And if I want to add to the specific contract, I just check the specific asset and click on OK. And that's it. Let's move on to the current consumable workspace. Within the consumables and accessories workspace, you can make a choice if you want to see your consumables or your assets divided by model or by asset. If you choose by asset, you see specifically which asset has what consumables, and you can make changes for this specific asset alone by selecting it. If you choose to look at them as divided by models, since we only have one specific model, that's why we copied it earlier, so I can actually show you this feature. I can choose my specific consumable, go into price, for example, and let's say I'm discounting the prices by 10% and save my changes. As you can see, the customer buy price got discounted. These changes will apply to every single consumable used by this specific model. Let's take a look into the accessories workspace real quick, which is basically the same as the consumable workspace. This workspace is also divided by asset or by model, and you can choose how you want to work here and how you want to apply your changes. If you want them to apply for a specific model or if you want to modify a specific asset. Let's take a look at our optimized workspace. After opening it up, you can see you can choose between working on a table or with your visual optimization. We're going to start working with the table to begin with. It looks similar to what you're accustomed to. Our current devices are on the left side, our future state devices are on the right side. You have all 4 tabs available here to optimize your paper in and output, IT service and software, as well as in current and future state. What is new here is the asset optimization list, which you can open to look up which asset is optimized with what asset. You can do it by tracking down the current consecutive numbers and compare them to the future ones. Take a look, and if you're done here, you can just close it down by swooshing it down. I think we're gonna optimize IT and office equipment, since you probably already know how to optimize your paper and output. I select the IT and office tab as well in the current state as in the future state and start my optimization by selecting the device I want to optimize. Say I want to switch out this specific laptop. I click on the optimize button. I choose the option I want to do it with. I say I want to replace it one-to-one. Since we do not have a database, I have to work with my own portfolio or use a virtual model. I have a portfolio which I'm going to choose from. Let's say I'm going to replace it with this device, and I select apply selected. I don't have accessories here, so I'm just going to close it. And as you can see, it disappeared on this side and appeared right here. So you keep going until you finish the optimization. We're going to take a quick look into the visual optimization and then move on from there. As you can see, your visual optimization tab is exactly the same as your floor plan. You can see your current assets by clicking on current asset list. Like down here in the bottom, I'm just going to close my menu so it's more visible. You can select if you want to see all the project assets or only the ones that are placed in this specific floor. I can see all devices. I can decide if I want to see only the plotted ones or the non-plotted ones. I'm going to start with letting me see the non-plotted ones, which are in this project. As you see, I already started my optimization. You can see I already placed right here. I cannot move them out, so let's move the labels out, and you can see my arrows right here. which indicates that this device is optimized. With this one, I'm just going to move it into place so it looks a little bit nicer. In order to optimize a device with a visual optimization, you have to place it on the floor map, click right, and select Optimize. Choose the kind of weight you want to optimize it. Choose a specific product from your portfolio if you're working with IT assets, and apply selected one. Click Close on this dialog, and you're done with optimizing. So that's basically all there is to it. You can move them around. If you notice that you cannot move a specific asset, it's probably because you're in the wrong state, because down here in the bottom, you can switch between current workspace, optimize, and future, where you can move all your devices around to make them look exactly like you want them to look. So now let's move on to the proposal workspace. I'm just going to open my menu real quick, select proposal, and select current assets. This is my proposal asset workspace. I have the same tabs available as current, paper in and output, IT, software, and services. Let's work with IT and Office. As you can see, all my optimized devices are visible in here. I replaced all the PCs with laptops to create a hybrid workspace for my customer. You can also add new items here if you choose not to optimize the existing one by clicking the plus button and select an item from your portfolio or create a new one. You can copy them and do all the stuff. Let's take a look at the list view. By clicking on the little dots, I can also activate an advanced mode. I will come back to this and explain it real quick. I can choose my list view from this list, but I can also choose to create my own list view by opening the column chooser, selecting the specific column I want to add to my column view, just drop it at a place I want it, close my column chooser, open the view and click on Save, rename the view, click on OK, and that's my new standard view right here. I can also choose to remove columns by opening the column chooser and move a specific column into the column chooser, and it disappears in my view. I can also save it as I did before. Just say save. I'm on a new standard, and that's saved now. You can also do your product part calculation right here, as you're used to, as well as your maintenance, labor, and dealer charges. The same, of course, goes for software and services. At this point, I'm going to show you real quick how to move one asset from one floor to another one, since you probably already noticed that we do not have the extra tabs that we used to have in our old application, where you can just drag and drop a device on the floor. We have to select the tab structure. As you can see, you have a drop-down menu here. When you open it up, you can select the specific floor device is placed on by clicking on the other floor and save. So this device is now moved to the second floor, and you can move on to keep on working. The same goes for department and cost centers, which can be changed down here if you actually created them in your floor plan to begin with. Let's move on to contracts. The proposal contract is similar as to the current state, but the options on calculating a contract are much more advanced. So you create a contract by clicking on the plus, and then you can start your calculation within the common, the product part, the maintenance part, divided by mono and color, as well as settings tab is in here where you can choose what kind of type of calculation you would prefer, if you want to calculate with a margin or if you want to calculate with a markup. Now let's take a look at the reporting. Since we're not going to do the consumables and accessories again, there is literally no change and it works exactly as the one in the current state. So let's take a look at the reporting. As you can see, our reporting is two parts. You have the report generator as well as the dashboard. Other than in our old application, the dashboard is not divided by current and future state. We only have one in which you can see both states of your contract, but we will start with the report generator.
As you can see, all your reports are listed in this list. You will be able to access all the reports you uploaded in the old application. You can change the sorting order by clicking on Folder, so you see the ones that you personally uploaded on top. You can delete those if you select one and click on minus and confirm with yes. You will also be able to upload new ones by selecting the plus button, select a file, and upload the report. You will also be able to download a template by clicking on the pencil, generate a report by clicking on the download button, as well as preparing floor plans by clicking on the prepare floor plans button. Your filters are located on the right side. You can choose to filter by location, and you just unclick the floors that you don't want to be represented in the report, as well as select departments and cost center if you actually created them.
Now let's take a closer look into the dashboard. This is our new dashboard. You can see current and future state in this dashboard. As you can see, it's much more colorful than it used to be. You can also have an overview of all your costs or divide them by paper in and output, IT office, software and services. I want to show you IT office real quick. We actually entered some effort costs, which can be seen with the orange tablets. And if you want to see only certain parts, you can decide to click on the specific, let's say I don't want to see process here anymore, so I can actually click on it and it will disappear from my pie chart. You can do the same for energy, and let's say contracted maintenance, so I can have a nice view on my cost. If I want to use this specific chart somewhere else, I can click on this little icon and export it by selecting the type of file I want to create, or just print it right out. Same goes for the TCO. I can see it all, or I can choose what I want to see by clicking and unclicking the specific cost points. And I always can see the sum by going over it with the mouse. And my effort costs as well, let's see, I just want to see my IT efforts, and you can see the specific difference. Since I have much more IT office equipment in my future state than in my current state, of course my costs are much higher than they used to be. But my energy consumption, it's much lower than it used to be, as well as my CO2 footprint. Let's move on to portfolio from here on.
As you can see, all the portfolios you've created previously with the old application will be available in the new application as well. They're all listed here on the left side. You can add new portfolios, you can delete them, you can copy them, as well as share them with your colleagues. In order to create a new portfolio, you have to click the plus button, give your portfolio a name, save your changes, and click on the primary article button. Here you can add paper in and output devices, IT service and office software, and let's start by creating a new paper input device. You can select one from the database add it to your portfolio, click on the equipment button, select your equipment on the right side by adding a number in this column, number of assignments, and decide how many of this equipment you want to be assigned automatically to the specific asset. Save your changes. You can also modify your prices here, just like you used to. If you want to modify your equipment, you have to click on the little puzzle button and work with your equipment and consumables. If you want to return to your portfolios, you have to click on the little suitcase button. Let's move on to the device database. Within the device database, the function is basically the same as you used to. You can look up certain devices by using the search button. You can download brochures and certificates like you used to by clicking on those two buttons. Let's take a look at the statistics that I mentioned earlier when we started creating a company. As you can see, you have a filter option on the right side. Your projects will be displayed in this window, as well as charts on the bottom left corner. Let's start with using a filter. As I told you, you should set a filter or some kind of status into your project when you work on it. Let's say I want to see all my projects that are still in work. I did not add a closure rate. I'm just gonna change the date. Let's say I want to see everything from starting last year until now, and I press the filter button. So now you see all my projects that I have created. I'm just gonna click on one. As soon as you click on it, you also get a chart displayed. So now you can use it to see your own sales prospects and the revenue you generated.
We are done with our project right now, and we still wanted to take a look at our offline tool. We're gonna return to our customer workspace. All I have to do now is upload my specific project into my cloud. So you can see the symbol here, it is in the cloud right now, but it's only available. I want it to be within my offline application. So I click on the download button. As soon as the green check mark appears, I know that my project is also available within my local storage and I can work offline with it. I'm just going to take a quick look in our offline version by signing out on here and logging into the offline version by entering the email address and logging into the offline application. This application has a similar look to the online application. The only color difference is that this one is green and the other one is blue to indicate that you're working offline now. I'm just going to tell you something about this delete offline profile button, which is important if you do not work on your own device. Let's say your company has shared devices, a tablet that you share, an iPad that you share. And if you hand it over to the next coworker, I would recommend to delete your offline profile so your colleague can log in into his own profile. And of course the exit button. You can see you have a navigation menu on top right here as well. The functionalities of this application are limited to what Capture IT was able to do. So you do not calculate a TCO here because you do not have all the logic behind it. You can select your customers. As you can see, my project is already downloaded here and I can access all the information. I can make changes to the addresses and all the other stuff. I can select project. I can change settings as well as add to my structure or change my structure by using it as I use the online application. I can work on my floor plan, say add item. Just going to select any item I want to use and click on OK. Of course, I can navigate it with my touch screen. I have my current assets, which I also have a paper in and output, IT and office, software and services. I can add a contract, but please keep in mind that no calculation will be happening here. I can only add certain information and not calculate a contract in here. And now, of course, I have an optimize part. I can already start optimization in at this point, even in the offline version, but just like before, I cannot calculate. I don't see the volumes in here or anything. It's just really limited to specific functions. And the same goes for the visual optimization. Can also choose to optimize visually. Well, let's say so this asset is already optimized. I kind of need to see an asset that is not optimized, but we already optimized all assets here. Let's say I want to see all, and let's show me the non-plotted ones because I know these ones are not optimized. Let's go into current state. Of course, I can also optimize at this stage of my project by selecting a device and opening the menu and choose to optimize. I have a small version of the proposal workspace here. I can add future state assets as well as contract as well. And I also have a portfolio function. After I'm done editing all my information, I have to exit this application and log in into my online application. As you see, the symbol here changed, and it tells me that I changed something locally, which basically means that I have to synchronize my project before I start working on the online application. Let's take a quick look how that works. Exit this application. Log in into your online application. Select Customer Workspace. As you can see, it's changed locally here. And now I go on this little cloud icon and say Synchronize Projects. My project now is synchronizing. And now I see it's all in the same state. And I can work online on my project. Now you have seen the new application and should be able to work with it.
If you have any questions about the features or functionalities in the latest mySalesDrive release, please contact the team using the details on screen now. We hope you enjoyed the demonstration and thank you very much for watching.